car in the driveway, keys in the lockbox are gone. I was able to get in with my own set of keys. The bike that was there is now gone. Yeah, my own set of keys. I can get into anybody's house, even yours. The gun is still on the floor. Nobody touches that. They're breaking stuff. You can tell they went through everything here. Oh no. The refrigerator that was here is now gone. Price just went up because of the custom speakers in the wall. I bet you haven't seen those. Those are retro. Custom fireplace just sitting there, all bitching. Yeah, they're going through all his shit. I'm gonna have to have this relocked up because they took the keys with them so they can get back in whenever they want. And this wasn't all here thrown like this. They haven't touched the wiring yet, but that's what comes next, I'm sure. Let me see if the water heater and the furnace are still here. That wasn't out there, and now it is. Not good. Oh, and they locked this.
All right, let's talk about what's feeding the foreclosures. So this is not.
And that's generous. What he did right there is pretty generous when it comes to foreclosures, because I've seen him look way worse. Way worse.
Like 2008, unless you're just looking at sheer numbers. 2008 had to do with the subprime market. And the subprime market was because they were loaning to people that probably didn't have the money. And risky loans. This is different. This is because of economic stressors. One, we had federal employees laid off. These are high earners that had mortgages, credit cards, and car loans. If the private sector could not absorb those people, which many of them are on TikTok explaining how long they've been out of work, it's been a long time, they're probably defaulting on loans. Two, Airbnb has been at stress point for quite some time. People don't have the money to do the vacations and the, whatever they need to do to go and justify staying in an Airbnb. So those landlords are stressed, and there's possibility that they would default on the loans on the homes they bought for that.
So some people were smarter and they went for Airbnbs that were specifically niched in certain areas, or, like you're going to the lake, and so you got an Airbnb at the lake house, which is always going to do. I did Airbnb, and I'm going to tell you, this is why I can talk about this so freely and laugh, because honestly, I wasn't laughing when I had to sell my Airbnb, because I came into it with the same perspective a lot of people had. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make some money. I got rentals over here. I can do this. The reality of it is, no. The business model was flawed to begin with. It wasn't designed to navigate hard times. If anything, man, I tell you, I should have went pad split. And if you're watching this and you got a multifamily and it's suffering during Airbnb, I'm telling you, the pad split model, if you can pull it off in your county and your city, there's no violation. If there's no restrictions against it, that is probably one of the best models right now, and it will be great when the market is up, and it'll also be great when the market is down. Everybody's going to need a room, right? Everybody's going to need a room. If you got a house that got 4 rooms, 3 rooms, 2 bathrooms, even 1 bathroom, you kind of setting yourself up for a good pad split setup right there. And there's better ways to get in with pad split. There's a lot of stuff out there with it, but don't get it twisted. Don't be like me and hurry up and sell your Airbnb when your profits are down. I was looking at the statement like, oh, dude, this is a bad idea to begin with. And it wasn't a bad idea to own the property. It was a bad idea. The model that I was using to generate income on the property, at least that season, it's done. It's cooked. So Airbnb is going to get more and more cooked. And this can be great for the person out there looking for a deal. So don't take this as doom and gloom all the time.
3, deportations. A lot of those people were renters and or homeowners. In a lot of cases, they were married to an American citizen and they had a home. And if they're out of the country, the one income may not be supporting that house anymore, so they're probably falling flat and being unable to make the bills. So that leads to losing the house. 4, Disasters. So we've had quite a bit of, hurricanes, landslides, tornadoes. And if you're underinsured or not insured in the time of that, you will end up defaulting on a mortgage. And then 5, we see an increasing layoff now in private sector. So that's also going to feed people being unable to pay the mortgage bill. And I do see that happening. Now, 6, a lot of people bought like they did in 2003 to 2005. We had this surge where the prices went up. And now they're underwater in their homes. And many are making decisions. I can't afford this payment because the payment is.
I think she probably meant 2020 or 2023, probably going as far back as like 2016, probably 2017, 2003, 2005. Like I said, I got it in 2005. The rents, the market prices there were like super low. I had friends buying stuff at 5K. And see, that's why I say if we don't talk about this, people won't know, and y'all gonna make bad decisions, and because you just don't know. You only can make decisions based on your knowledge base, and if you don't have enough knowledge on a situation, or you calling mama, papa, cousin, and them who only know a little bit, you're gonna be stuck. Stop taking advice from people that don't know shit. Excuse my language, but stop taking advice from them. I give a perfect example. If you married, why do you listen to advice from people that are single? I think that's the most stupidest thing. They don't know anything, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, whatever platform. And even don't let it be family. They really don't know anything. That's what I mean by it. Okay? Don't take these advice from, stop taking this advice from people that don't know anything. Or they did it, but they did it 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago. Because 2018, 2019 market is 2020 market is completely different than this 2026 market.
Crazy. A lot of them have close to $3,000 payments. I don't think I could deal with that. And they're choosing to walk away. That is where we're at. So I don't think this is going to right itself quickly, but we should be worried about it because a lot of stock market can be impacted by this because they do mortgage-backed securities that end up being publicly traded. And as people default, those are going to lose value.
I lost my house to foreclosure on Wednesday. Let me tell you how a company almost tricked me. Of course, I'm going through all this and it's very vulnerable. This company says, hey, we can help you out. Here's what we'll do. We will reinstate your loan and we'll do something called subject to where, essentially we'll just pay the mortgage. We'll keep the payments going. We'll have everything transferred to our name and you'll be good. They even offered to give me some money, which sounds really sweet until I started to truly think about it. Now this.
Okay, so let me stop this real quick. If you don't know, a subject to is simply when you swap out your ownership, you give your ownership to someone else, but you keep the loan. Now, you wonder, why the hell would somebody do something like that? Because if you're far behind on your mortgage and you're going to face foreclosure and they're going to come in and pay it and bring it up, they're in essence going to reinstate you back. So if you've been late all up to that time, you don't experience a foreclosure or get into a short sale, which in some cases can slow down you purchasing your another house. It won't mess up your life, but it will slow down if you're looking to get another piece of property or anything like that. Some people are, and so they will accept that deal because now they don't own the property, but the mortgage stays in their name and they get the benefits of the person paying on time. The people who normally take it or do those types of deals, it's left for them to be responsible and to pay on time. Where you do have people that don't do that, but I've seen more people that do it than don't. Like they pay it on time because they've already spent 25,000 to catch it up or whatever you were behind. They've already given you some money and put some money in your pocket. They've got physical skin in the game. They got money in the game. So when that happens, what I've seen is they typically follow through, sit on it for about a year or two, then end up selling it. I've had mentors build portfolios with 30 homes, like 75 homes, 30 of them, probably 25 of them be subject to deals. Great way to get into a deal. For him, he's not going to like it because it's not to the advantage so much of the person that's selling it or homeowner. They get benefits, but for the investor, they get an asset without having to turn around and put 10, 15, 20% down. People are going to dislike this. Some people are going to love it. It's not for every market, nor is it for every circumstance or situation. Sometimes it works great. It works great most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't. And there's a lot of caveats in between that. So when you like, follow, and subscribe, I will show you when we do roll out the school what subject twos are, how you can use it, but you have to be responsible with it. It is not something that you go willy-nilly. We got enough people out here doing crazy stuff. Your job is really to do sane stuff, okay? That helps them. You want it more or less to be a win-win situation. You never want it to be I win and you just get to lose. At least I saved you. I helped you with this. Nah. And the little caveat is in there, when done incorrectly, the banks can accelerate that loan. So you got to make sure you do things right and have a great conversation with them. And it's different things you can do to put in place. But there's good subject twos and then there are bad subject twos.
This is a real thing that people do, and apparently it's legal too. But here's essentially what happens. They get to own the house, which they're then going to take the title. They're going to take the title. They're going to put it into a trust, which means I have absolutely no access to it. It's gone. However, the debt stays in my name. So they don't have to take out a loan. They don't have to prove they have collateral, nothing like that. All they have to do is pay whatever the reinstatement amount is for my loan, and then they own the house. But here's the catch. If anything happens, it's on me. The loan's still in my name. I still owe it, yet they own the house. Even if I paid off the loan, they still own the house. Absolutely insane to me. So at first, because I was really just not wanting to lose the home, I was trying to hear him out. But then once I did a little more research, I said, absolutely not. And these are the kind of vultures that will come after you if you also are losing your home. So just know, if you're going through foreclosure at all, these are the kind of people that will come and try to trick you. And I don't care if they found legalities around it. It is a trick. It's trickery.
As I sit in my
Well, it's not trickery. They've been doing subject twos before black people were actually free, honestly. I mean, well, I say free, but they had the right to vote. It's been around 50s, 60s, 70s. People do it with each other, regardless of if they're black or white. It doesn't matter. They didn't construct this for black people and to trick people. Please understand that. But people do use it in the wrong way. But the reality of it is, for some people, if you're going to lose your house, you got to determine if you're going to lose it and walk away with some money in your pocket, because they should be giving you some money, and the ability for your your credit to be recovered, or if you're going to just lose the house because you feel it's trickery. Some states, not a lot, I think probably 50, and this is not true for every state too. Keep in mind, in fast training, real quick, some states have this in place and they're okay. Some states have that separate deed and they don't like it. So you got to know what you can do in your state, because it's not just blanket application. It's different for everybody. But when they talk about buying houses with no money down or buying houses, I don't say no money down, because you got to put money, you got to catch it up. So it's not really no money down, but not having to go get a loan, which can be it can be a process, and you're going to have to put some money down in on that. That's probably one of the most creative ways to do a deal, and it's not for everybody. And if your approach with it and you don't like it, don't do it. Nobody should pressure you into doing any of these deals, but you should know what these deals are so you understand. You may want to do it one day down the line. You may have a family member who doesn't care so much about the house, and they got a note and they ready to let it go, which I've seen people do before, and they will deed it over to you if you could keep up the loan and make payments. Now you just got a investment property. Crazy, but you don't make money based off of what you know. You make money based off of what you don't know. That's why you have to find out what you don't know, and what you don't know is typically the loopholes or the abilities to do things that you're not going to learn about because they don't teach that to you on the news, nor do they teach it to you in life school. You get what I'm saying? They don't teach it to you in life school. A lot of coaches won't even teach that process to the majority. They make people pay tons of money to learn it because at the end of the day, it does require you to be ethical, okay, upstanding, and go out to solve problems for people, not just to like just F people over. You know what I mean?
Foreclosure condo, I want to talk about the risks of buying a condo in 2026 because the risks are bigger than ever. I know this might be a hot take and condos look like an affordable option, but I don't think people are talking about the risks enough. You don't just buy the unit, you buy into the HOA's finances, mistakes, and liabilities. HOA is underfunded, special assessments. The HOA fees are getting out of control, and the higher they go, the more it hurts your property value. And if the insurance changes, lenders can just stop lending on them overnight. And when lenders stop lending on the property, the buyer pool shrinks down, which causes the value to go way down because there's less buyers. There's so many things that can cause unwarrantability: too many renters, too many neglected repairs, lawsuits, underfunded reserves. All of these things can substantially impact the ability to resell your unit and substantially impacts the value of your unit. You could have your unit remodeled perfectly and the value could still be going down because of what's happening to the other units next door. Condos are risky because you're basically relying on everyone else to make the right decisions to keep your property healthy. One person's not playing their part or one thing goes wrong, it can cause the whole deck of cards to come tumbling. Also, for those who will say, well, check the financial docs, that's a snapshot in history, okay? The reserves can look healthy. The HOA docs can look healthy because it's a snapshot of history. That's not going to predict what's going to happen and change in the future, which is what happened with me.
I'm the girl who will always tell.
That's true. I've always said this, and I've even went against my advice. And every time I went against my own advice, oh God, I could tell you the stories. But the reality of it is, condos are and townhomes are the first thing to hit when this market starts doing what it's doing right now. Whether it's Miami condos, LA condos, Georgia condos, Atlanta condos, New York condos, it doesn't matter. Condos and townhomes, which your realtor, your favorite realtor doesn't tell you, they will get hit first. You think about it. One, you got a fee on top of what you're already paying for your mortgage. Whatever your monthly is, for some condos, it can be as high as $500 additional a month. I've seen it as low as $25, but it can get pretty high up there. So you got to carry that, plus deal with the issues of people that's in that townhome community or that condo community. If they do a reassessment, if they do an assessment on that condo, meaning they fix lights and do some other stuff, even if you didn't vote for it, even if you got outvoted in the HOA, and they say, yeah, we got to go ahead and put these lights up because Tommy keeps tripping over the freaking speed bump when he's riding his bike and he doesn't have light up and he'll be able to see it when the light is up, right? Oh no. Well, bad, because you still have to pay that. You did not volunteer for that, but you still got to pay that. And the worst part about it is the reserves that these condos have to hold. If they don't have a reserve, not having your condo not having the proper reserves or your townhome not having the proper reserves in the mix can mean now when you get ready to sell it, and you may not even know, when you get ready to sell it, that you may not be able to use an FHA mortgage because FHA won't lend in certain communities when the reserves are so low. Okay. When they pass that 20, they're supposed to keep 20,000 or they're supposed to have a 20% reserve of their HOA fees. And they don't even have that. They barely have $1,000. Oh yeah. It's going to be hell for you to sell that. Take it from me. I already messed around with one of those things and I had to do a cash sale. We had to do some type of sale. I think it was to a VA loan sale, but it happens, and it happens to people more often than anything. So if you're going to buy a regular house. At least you don't have to deal with all of that. And we're not even talking about the taxes that go up that regular homeowners have to deal with already. You're a townhome condo owner. You got to deal with it as much, stacked on top of those other fees. So it can get pretty crazy out there.
To buy the foreclosure. I have bought, I don't know how many foreclosures in my career. I actually live in a house that was foreclosed on, and I've lived in a couple others that were foreclosed on. Now, I bought them after they were foreclosed on, not during. So the bank owned them at the time that I bought them. And that is, I think, what you're asking here. One of the things you have to remember is most of the time, the purchase is an as-is purchase. So they're not going to do any repairs. You still have the right to do inspections, but they're not going to fix anything after the fact. It can be a little crazy if you're getting a loan, the type of loan where the water has to be on, the electricity has to be on, you have to have heat, and the water heater has to work. But there are ways to get around having to turn the water on. I can do another video about that if you guys want. I bought all the foreclosures, even the ones I've lived in, with a in-house bank loan, so I didn't have to worry about that. And I did the inspections I needed to do to make myself comfortable. When my husband was alive, he did a lot of the looking at what we needed to fix. So we didn't ever do a lot of inspections, but we always did a sewer line camera, always a roof. The plumbing wasn't that big a deal to us because we mostly redid it every time. And he was not good at electrical, so we did an electrical inspection too. Those of you that have bought foreclosures in the past, what do you think you need to look out for? Questions asked me. Follow for more tips from your real estate bestie.
I'm going through a foreclosure right now, and I want to talk about all the lies that the internet told me, because there was a lot. Number one, that I was never going to be able to find another house and that no landlord would ever rent to me. We actually applied for 3 different homes. We got approved for all 3 of them. We got the pick of the litter, and we got a home that is way more beautiful, way more functional, all around better for us than where we were at. Number 2, that no one would want to hire me as a real estate agent. Actually, TikTok became my number 1 source for real estate deals, and it's because of my openness and sharing my story and educating others while I'm going through this horrible event. Number 3, my credit will be destroyed forever. Yes, my credit's gonna take a hit, but there are so many programs and ways to rebuild and recover that the internet made it sound like I was gonna be exiled for forever. And lastly, that foreclosure means you're irresponsible. This one pissed me off the most, because most of the time when someone's going through a foreclosure, it's because something else went sideways and has nothing to do with responsibility. And most of the time it's out of the person's control altogether.
Whoa, wait a minute. You mean a Midwestern state leads the nation in home foreclosures? Yes, a red state. Indiana is leading the nation in foreclosures. And guess who's second? Yes, another red state, South Carolina. And guess who's third? Yes, correct, another red state, Florida. Foreclosures are on the rise. Now, I'm not saying it's anything like 2008, 2009. I'm not saying that. But the protections are now off. And you're going to see a lot more foreclosures over the next 24 months.
When he means the protections are off, there used to be during Obama's term, during even through, I think through, what's his name? Biden's term, where if you were facing foreclosure, yeah, you get the forbearance, you get all of that. But they had it where you were behind a certain amount, they were taking that amount and putting it behind a loan, creating like a ghost loan, or you didn't have to pay it until you actually sold the house, which worked great when appreciations are up, but really sucks when your appreciation is down, because that eats against your equity, right? If you have any in there. But those were the guardrails that kept a lot of people from losing their house during the pandemic. And unfortunately, right now, those pandemic era loan stops or foreclosure prevention programs aren't in place, because the administration doesn't believe that this is really an issue. They don't believe that, but they see the jobs and the jobs leaving. And then I'm scratching my head on that also. But hey, it is what it is. But those guardrails are completely going right now.
This is just the beginning of an absolute avalanche of foreclosures over the next 24 months.
I do believe it's going to avalanche over the next 24 months. Now, I'm going to tell you, you could be one of two people. You can be the person that turns around, hears this message, and goes, Chicken Little, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. And then you can run around, tell everybody the sky's falling, and blah, 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 and go back to your normal job. Or you can take the time to learn the foreclosure process for your state and for your city, for your county, and take advantage of it. And it sucks when I say this, because people want the kumbaya feeling. You want me to be kumbaya, oh yeah, yeah, you know, all that. No, I can't do it because, like I said before, money's not made and wealth isn't gained during great times. Is gained during bad times. Somebody's going to end up buying that place.